All right, let's get started then. Pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, certain COVID-19 protection measures were extended as they relate to MGL Section 30A-20, the open meeting law. This meeting of the City of Westfield Conservation Commission we conducted via remote participation. Specific information can be found on the City of Westfield website at www.cityofwestfield.org. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen to the meeting may do so by turning into channel 15 or channel 12 or online at westfieldtv.org or online at youtube.com/Westfield Community Programming Channel. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we're unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the city's website an audio recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Okay, let's do a roll call. Okay, Jim.
Here.
Carl.
Here.
Tom.
Yeah, here.
Alex.
Here.
Cliff.
Here.
Okay, and I say Bob's not here at the moment. Okay. Anybody in the audience like to address the commission on any item not on the agenda? Seeing none, move on to number 3, public hearings. A is 459 Russell Road, Toccoa Country Club, continued from January 12th, 2021. Meredith, we have some updates. And we have Ryan. Are you proposing this, Ryan?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Ryan Nelson from R. Levesque Associates. I'm not sure if you want me to take the lead or if Meredith, you wanted to chime in on anything.
Okay.
No, you can take the lead.
Okay. All right. I'm tempted to share my screen. Okay, so this is a notice of intent at the Toccoa Country Club. This is related to the 4th green on the golf course. We had submitted this notice of intent quite a while ago, I think back around December-ish. We had continued several times, many times, as we were working with NHESP on getting additional information that they needed. And we since have a determination letter from them. But as a recap, the 4th green of the golf course is located here. This is the edge of the green. And over the years, the river has been eroding into the bank alongside this cart path and has really been undermining the bank and collapsing. And if I can show you some pictures. This was as of December, this past December. You can see the river has been eroding the bank. This was part of the cart path that's collapsed. This is December 2021, 2020. And since during that time, all the rain events we've had this summer, the erosion is actually past the cart path and into the green. So they're losing significant, real estate at a fast pace. So it's our intent and our goal for this project to restore the bank, provide a more stable slope, and to remediate the problem so this doesn't keep occurring, and that so the golf course can stay in existence and be safe to people golfing and to the groundskeepers, as well as preserve the quality of the river. So what we're proposing to do is start from the existing top of bank, which is this dark dashed line with these flags. And from that top of bank, we're going to be regrading the slope backwards at a 2.5-1 slope towards the green, relocating the existing cart path. So the cart path used to go over here, right through here, and we're going to be shifting it away from the river to give us room to provide for this graded, vegetated slope. So once the slope has been regraded, there's a company called Filtrex, and they specialize in a lot of stream stabilization products. And they make these compost socks that are quite heavy and robust, and they would be staked in place tightly along the entire exposed face of the stream slope above the bank. And then in between those staked logs, we are going to be putting some native plantings, and those consist of speckled alder, red maple, and willow stakings, and those will be set in between those compost logs. So the goal is that over time, we have a more secure face of this regraded slope so that during high flow events, there's not bare dirt that's being scoured as there is now. And then eventually over time, as these plants establish, they're going to have a root base that's going to stabilize the soil underneath, as compared to prior conditions where there was, mowed fairway up into the bank, which was probably partially part of the problem. And then also just the configuration of the river. This was a natural bend. So the problem's has been in existence, but the past few years have just accelerated. So under this revised plan we've submitted, we have no impacts to bank. We have no impacts to land underwater. All the work we're doing is above the bank. The only impacts we have are riverfront area, and those are all taking place within an existing fairway of the golf course. And that limit of work is about within riverfront area, about 300 square feet for this work zone. We have a determination letter from NHESP. It's a conditional no-take letter. Let's see if I can pull that up. So this was sent by NHESP on October 15th. I won't read through the whole thing, but I'll go down to the conditions starting here. So based on the information provided and the information contained in our database, it is the opinion of the division that a portion of this project, as currently proposed, must be conditioned in order to avoid adverse effects to the resource area habitats of state listed wildlife species, and must be conditioned in order to avoid a prohibited take of state listed species. Number one, all work, permanent or temporary, shall occur at the higher elevation of mean annual high water or top of bank. The work is not expected to be within the regularly flooded elevation of the river, but work should not initiate if river elevations are above mean annual high water. Number two, confirmation of on-site conditions. At least 10 days prior to the start of work, the signatory engineer of the plan or division-approved fluvial geomorphologist shall conduct an on-site visit to determine if the field conditions are properly reflected on the approved plan, and B, if the proposed work can be implemented as shown on the plan without increased impacts to the resource areas. The engineer should specifically compare the location and lateral extent of the bank's toe of slope, top of bank, and between the field conditions in the approved plan. If field conditions have changed so that elements of the project require revisions, such revisions shall follow the same design principles as the approved project. If such revisions are required at least 5 days prior to the initiation of work, the engineer shall submit to the division a written narrative about how the design will be changed, including photos and measurements of the areas that have been altered. So Misty Ann from NHESB and we talked about this. Obviously, over the course of this permitting process, the river was changing, but the most recent plan that I just previously shown you is an updated survey. So it's not from the December conditions, it's from current conditions. I don't know if you want me to, guys, if you want me to keep going through the rest of them, that's up to you.
Go ahead.
Okay. Number three, storage. All machinery, equipment, supplies, and project materials shall be stored whenever they are not in active use or during breaks in work of greater than 3 hours outside of the 100-year floodplain of the river in all areas known to flood. Deviations from this condition may be approved if the applicant submits a storm high flow monitoring and response plan for division review and approval. Number four, erosion and sedimentation control measures. The applicant has the responsibility to install adequate erosion and sedimentation control measures to avoid sedimentation into the river. This condition shall include installing any necessary controls not specifically referenced in the plan. All such measures shall be maintained in effect throughout the construction and until the site has become stabilized with adequate vegetative cover or via alternate means as approved by the division. Structural failure of erosion and sedimentation controls may be subject to enforcement action if the division deems it a take. So for this project, we're proposing a silt fence on the down gradient limit of work. And then we also, we're showing a turbidity curtain in that section of the river where we're working, just as a double fail safe in case anything did make it into the river. Number 5, standard of care. Failure to maintain an appropriate standard of care at any time during the installation or post-installation components of the plan, including but not limited to failure to restore and adequately control surface hydrology, planting at inappropriate times of year, failures to reach adequate surface hydrology, failure to provide adequate substrate, failure to maintain erosion and sedimentation control, failure to adequately control invasive plant species, or the loss of required plantings or seeding shall be deemed non-compliance with this determination at the sole discretion of the division. Number 6, any plantings or seeds located outside of areas to be maintained as lawn or manicured golf course shall be native to the county in accordance to the vascular plants of Massachusetts. All plants that we are showing are native. Number 7, compliance report. The applicant shall file a written project report, including the dates of all work activities and post-construction photographs. A, within 30 days of completion of work, and B, during the first full growing season after the completion of work. And then number 8, finally, authorization duration. This authorization is valid for 5 years from the date of issuance of this letter.
All right, thank you, Ryan.
Sure.
You have questions from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question
Sure.
to the applicant, Ryan. So I am confused about one thing. So I heard you mention mean annual high water, I think.
Yes.
And so you're going to be working below the mean annual high, or, I mean, are you going to be working below water also?
No. Nope. So we're starting from, let me see if I can pull up a photo just to kind of illustrate. So this is a little deceiving because undermined and there's a vertical face, but the mean annual high you can see is this like vegetated line right here, right?
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's scoured and worked along the bank like this. So let's pick this point here as your mean annual high. From that point there, we're cutting and regrading the slope back to over here. So we're not working below this mean annual high water line. That's like our downhill limit of work.
Okay. Are you going to armor below water or do anything like that to stabilize below the water level?
No. So part of the back and forth we had with NHESP and DEP was a couple different factors. One, the endangered species in this area are mussels, so they really didn't want us working in the river and the substrate. And 2 was the alternatives analysis of us working in the river wasn't, this use wasn't justification for restoring the bank back to its former footprint. So we had to stay up gradient of bank. But those Filtrex compost logs will be staked right up to that point.
Okay. I mean, I don't have the engineering or scientific background to really ask much more on this. I'm just thinking though, this bend right here is exposed to a lot of scouring, both by natural water velocity, but also by ice in the winter when we do have ice. And I'm just curious to know how that's going to be addressed.
Right. So a lot of the problem, as you can see, is it was mowed right up to the top of the cliff. And
Yeah.
you have some speckled alders and things that emerge off the side of the bank. But I think under proposed conditions, when we give this nice 20-foot vegetated gradual slope buffer, it's going to help stabilize the subsurface much better.
Ryan.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Ryan?
Yes.
Yeah, Cliff here. Yeah, you're not saying because of the mowing up to the edge, because all of that's about 10 feet down, right? Off down from the golf path. I mean, that's about 10 feet down to the water line, right?
Yeah,
8
probably.
to 10, somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
eight-ish feet. Sure.
Right. So this is just had nothing to do with mowing up to the edge. This was just because that river comes straight into that spot right there, and it's eroding because of that's where it's swirling right there before it continues downstream.
Yeah. So it's a combination of factors. One, like you said, it's the position and just the bend in the river, and then two, the mowing is partially responsible because you don't have these large trees present with roots that are stabilizing the bank. It's just grass, and that only stabilizes the first 3 or 4 inches from the surface.
And I know you're going to the high water, line, but you don't think that this is going to do any underlining, eroding underneath that? I don't know. I would have just thought they would have wanted, whatever boulders or something to prevent, you know what I mean? I'm just asking.
Well,
Sure.
I want to jump in, Cliff. I mean, that's kind of where I was going. You're going to address the upper part at mean annual high with the particular slope. But what's going to protect the lower part where it's
Right, I'm
grading
saying-
into?
Yeah.
I think you and I are asking the same question, Cliff.
Yeah, I was just saying that because I didn't want to have to be back here in 2 years because it's washing out underneath again. I would have
Right.
thought if you come in front of us now, go for the gusto and say, hey, whatever. I think we should, put down whatever boulders down, at the shoreline, and then continue with I agree with the plan that you have, you know what I mean? But I would have thought you want something at water level. And unless you were told that you couldn't, I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. I would have thought that would have been the better approach. And then you don't have the washout underneath and any boulders or whatever that was put there. The mussels are definitely going to adhere to that, and it's going to be conducive to their growth anyway. I'm just throwing it out there. Unless I'm missing something. That's all, Ryan.
No, that makes sense. And that was our first thought too. We actually, I met on site with a consultant who specializes in these stream restoration projects, and it was actually from out of state. So maybe that's where we were misguided. But anyway, they had proposed these stone gabion baskets that have the Filtrex socks already laid in underneath the metal netting. And we were going to do 2 courses of that as the bottom course along the bank. And DEP came back to us and said that wasn't consistent with the stream restoration methods, and they would rather see a naturally vegetated bank. So what we first proposed, didn't meet the performance standards for bank.
Okay, yeah. So you wanted to build basically a wall with the mesh boulders
Yes.
coming up, and then basically filling it in. I was just saying, I would have thought that they would have given you okay if you did the boulders into the water to prevent further washout, and then do, like you said, the vegetated, with the logs going up just the way you have it planned. You know what I mean? I've just thrown it out there. That's all.
Yeah, and I echo Cliff. I don't know what effect that has, but I think I agree with Cliff.
Ryan, I'm just saying, unless they were totally against it, I'd be more for going with the long-term solution instead of possibly a short. You could get a bad winter here or high floods, and you could wash that whole thing away in the first rainstorm. You know what I mean? And especially if it underlies it. Hey, like I said, Go ahead. It's your project, though. I mean, I'm not telling you what to do.
No, thanks for the feedback. I know where you're coming from. Those were my thoughts too. But based on the discussions we had, I think this is a more permittable method.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Ryan, I think one of the problems here is, as you mentioned, is that this particular area of the riverbank didn't have any trees. If you walk along that fairway back towards the tee along the river, that it's all vegetated with large trees.
Right.
And even though that area floods when we get big storms, you don't see any erosion along that, like we see in this particular area where you don't have any trees.
Right.
One of the problems with putting rocks in there is that the water can get behind them and just scour out the side anyway. We see that in streams. We see that in the ocean as well.
Yep.
So this may be the best way, even because it's the way that you can do. You can't, the state won't let you do it the other way. So.
That's correct.
Other questions? Yeah. Other questions from the commission?
Fairly straightforward to me, Mr. Chair. I mean, I think that they went through the alternatives with natural heritage, and this is what they have to present, and it seems permittable. So I know Meredith had a couple comments here about the forms. Was that all revised, Meredith, or are there still some, do we need impact areas or something?
I just needed updated impact areas for the order. And I think Ryan might have sent that. I know he
Yep.
got it
I was
pretty
a little
easily.
late, but I sent it a little while ago. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so I just needed that for the order. And yeah, we have that. So we can move forward with this project because we were waiting for the natural heritage comments and then the revised plans. I think given the rare species at this site, this is a great alternative. And it's low impact, and hopefully it will hold the river back a little bit there. I mean, I wonder why is it scouring there in the first place? And I think it's because those boulders are out in the middle. I can't remember if Tacoma put those out there to kind of stop this, like to switch the flow in like past years or something. I vaguely remember hearing that. And but armoring the bank is, yeah, it doesn't meet the performance standards. So there would be a take with natural heritage, I guess, or they would require, rare mussel surveys and those kind of conditions. So,
Mr. Chair, if you're ready and the board's ready, I'll make a motion.
I still have a couple of questions.
All right.
Sorry. Ryan, your slope, what's the difference in the height from the top of the slope to the bottom?
Let's see. So the cart path is at elevation about 417, and bottom of slope is about 141. So 141 to 147. Sorry. So about 6 feet.
6 feet. Okay, so now the new cart path is going to be how many feet away from the edge of the green?
It's 8 feet off the edge of the green.
Really? And that's gonna make playing that hole quite interesting. Because
Yeah, it wasn't ideal, but right.
If you land a ball in that cart path, it's going into the river.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I have any more questions? Does anyone need to see the site?
Time frame, Mr. Chairman. Ryan,
Yes.
what's your time frame? When are you going to put a shovel in the ground?
I don't know if Mr. Burek is on, the owner, but obviously we were trying to do it this year, but with growing conditions ceasing, I don't know if now would be the best time to do that and open that up. So my guess would be first thing in the spring.
I understand. What was the date of the Fish and Wildlife letter?
October 15th.
And Meredith, did we have access to that? Was that on your website there?
I didn't receive it immediate when it was sent out, but I subsequently have received it.
Stuff like that would be fun, not fun. Stuff like that I think is important for at least me. and perhaps other commissioners to see. I mean, it was nice that Ryan read that. Have you had a chance to read it yourself, Meredith?
I didn't really have a chance to, but it's pretty straightforward, and I can forward it to everybody and also put it on the website. I was planning on either including the letter itself in the order of conditions or cutting and pasting some of those the conditions, because that's part of what they said in the letter at the end that has to be included in the order.
I got a copy by email this afternoon. So.
Did anything of concern there, Dave?
No.
I mean, it sounds like we're ready to rock and roll. Should we wait 2 weeks and give the opportunity for commissioners to read the I mean, we've waited months and months and months for the state to weigh in, and then to be asked to make a decision without benefit of reading it, unless you've read it. And it's, I know the state's done all our work for us, but if we're going to attach a document, if we're going to attach a document to our order of conditions, I, for one, would like to read it.
What's the consensus of others? I mean, as Ryan said, they're not going to do any work until the spring anyway. I mean, does anyone want to go out to look at the site? Because the site has changed since the December pictures.
Yeah, well, I was going to say I concur with Tom that it might be good to have a chance to read that. And yeah, I'm sort of always in favor of site visits, particularly since this doesn't seem to be super pressing in terms of they're not waiting for our approval tonight to get started on this. They're going to wait. So since we have the time, I at least would advocate that maybe a site visit would be in order.
I would also
like to
join
weigh in. You know, if there's no hardship to the applicant and there does not appear to be, and this is regulatory, and you know, as Alex says, you know, this is permittable. Let's put it that way. But I would like to see the site. So I'll just weigh in on that. But I don't want my one opinion to hold this up. But it doesn't seem like there's any hardship here.
I guess there's a somewhat of a consensus growing to, you know, go have a site visit and continue this till the next meeting.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I've already seen it, so it definitely is something that's going to have to be taken care of, or they're going to lose, you know, a lot more real estate there, and it's actually going to change the contour of the river, the way it's flowing in. But I'm just pointing it out. I mean, if they're not doing anything, if they weren't planning on doing anything right now, if they were, I definitely vote to, you know, proceed. But I think if everybody wants to see it, that's fine on my end.
Yeah, I would like to see it, since, you know, I haven't been out there golfing for about a month or so, but you know, having been there a lot, I'd like to see, you know, where the contours are actually going to be, and what the site's going to look like after that has been cut away.
Give you that motion instead, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Alex, go ahead.
All right, I make a motion that we continue this to our next hearing, give the commission a chance to review the natural heritage letter and also to schedule a site visit to observe current conditions.
Okay. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Jim?
Yes.
Tom?
I'll vote yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
And Bob? Bob's with us now.
Yes.
Okay. I'll vote yes as well. All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
And Meredith will arrange a site visit date and time. Thank you. All right. Item B, 898 Southampton Road. Applicant requests continuance to November 9, 2021.
So moved.
A motion to that effect.
So moved.
I'll second.
Meredith, are we hearing from this guy at all, or is he just floating out there? Right
So
there?
they've been requesting a continuance, and the continuance before this one, they said, we're gonna have the plans.
Okay, so at least they're still,
Yeah, they're still kicking it around. Or they're still communicating. I don't know what's going on,
okay,
but
thank you.
we had asked for kind of significant changes, so I think that has something to do with it. But hopefully it moves
I'm
forward.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? Jim,
Yep.
Tom,
Yes,
Alex,
Yes.
Carl. Carl,
We lost Carl.
oh, gone, Carl.
Sorry, yes.
Call him,
Okay.
Professor.
Something's
Cliff.
something's wigging out.
Yes.
so, sorry.
Bob,
Yes.
oh, yes as well. Thank you. All right, item C, 92 Pequot Point Road, continued from October 12th. Meredith,
Yes, so we did a site visit with the property owner and GZA last night. Yeah, I have some photos I can show you. They were going to update the plan a little bit because it was unclear to me what was getting cleared. They are proposing work up to the 50-foot buffer zone. And then the house is about 10 feet off the 50-foot buffer. So then, they're going to have to clear trees. It's one of those things where you kind of got to clear trees in the 50-foot buffer because to get access to the house, and the trees are leaning over the house. So that's kind of where I left it, or those were my thoughts on trying to permit this. And so the wetland's at the toe of a slope, and then most of the 50-foot covers the slope, which is good because grading on the slope would be a concern, and cutting trees on the slope would be a cause for concern. I can show you some pictures. I think GZA, a representative, is here somewhere. They were going to have an updated plan, but here, I'll just show you some photos while I'm on here. Let's see.
all right, let's look at the photos first and then look at the plan.
Okay.
Okay,
You
and
guys
yes,
see
this
that?
is Adrian from GZA. I just want to make sure you
Thank-
know
Okay,
Okay,
we're on.
great. Thank you. Can you guys see?
yes,
Okay, so the wetland is down here at the toe of the slope. The lot is, I'd say, half forested and half like an existing lawn area. So they marked the corners of the house with some stakes. I'm trying to see, and they marked the 50-foot buffer. Oh shoot, sorry. I was trying to see the how close they were, but anyways, the house is basically in a forested area. Will be, so they will need to take down quite a few trees to get the house in, and part of that is outside of the buffer zone, but half of it is within the buffer zone. So this blue and pink marking here is 50-foot, and then they have a corner of the house going over here. This is what I'm not sure where the property line is. I think it's down here somewhere, but a lot of this was already cleared for this other home. And there is sort of an existing driveway, so that's good. They won't need to clear for that. And I have a question about the plan once Adrian takes over here in a second about what's getting cleared even outside of the buffer zone. But these are some corners of the house here. This one, and that's another one. I think that's it. Again, 50-foot buffer, corner of the house. So I guess I was a little, yeah. So that's pretty much summary.
Meredith,
yes,
just a quick question. Is this the property just to the left of that new log cabin?
This is a little further down from the log cabin.
Okay, so at the base of the road, basically,
Yes, where the road,
at the
whatever.
corner?
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
All right.
New Broadway,
Yes,
Yeah.
right there. Pequot Point, New Broadway. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a
Okay,
quick
Adrian. Oh, go
Yeah.
ahead, Bob.
Is it actually lawn, Meredith, or is it mossy because the trees are there? Is that lawn area moss or is it lawn?
Lawn, unmaintained, maintained. I'm not really sure because the leaves are all kind of covering it up. I think part of it's lawn. Maybe part of it's moss. I don't know, Adrian, do you recall?
It's grassy.
It's grassy.
Okay.
It's pretty open there.
Okay, Adrian, why don't you go ahead?
Excellent. I'm going to begin sharing my screen. As Meredith said, we presented this at the last meeting. This is the layout that we presented. So the house is on the corner of New Broadway and Pequot Point Road. And as she indicated, the back left corner of the house was very close to the buffer zone, the 50-foot buffer zone. And we had identified the whole area outside of the 50-foot zone as the limit of work. Based off the concerns we heard in the field during the site walks, we have prepared a revised site plan to discuss with the commission tonight. So in this revised site plan, we have moved the house, which is identified as the pink square, south. So that the square with the lines through it, that was the original proposed location. So you can see that we've increased that distance. We've essentially doubled it. It was 5 feet. It's now just over 10 feet away. And based on the concerns about the trees, we've identified a limit of clearing, which is 20 feet to the west of the house. And then back, this is 30 feet at its longest distance to the 50-foot buffer zone. We confirmed in the field that we are not proposing to remove trees within the 50-foot buffer zone. It would just be in this 50 to 100 foot is the area we're asking permission for. There is an existing lawn area, so no tree removal would occur there. This area west of the proposed clearing area would be left vegetated. So that area was predominantly smaller trees, but there were a handful of large trees in that area. The homeowner would like to keep a vegetative buffer between his home and New Broadway so that he has some privacy on the lot. So we're confident those trees would remain in place. In addition, the commission requested at the last meeting that we make clear the erosion control barrier. And so that is this orange and white dashed line. So it is smaller than the total limit of work. We don't believe work would occur in this area. It would really just be the clearing of this kind of green speckled area and the house footprint. So that's the limit of the jurisdictional work.
Questions from the commission?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I think she did a great job with this plan, listing everything out and moving that house away and eliminating the scope of work. You know, definitely nothing within that 50-foot buffer zone. Yeah, I just thought that was a good job.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Adrian, with the, hi, this is Tom. I was on the site visit with Carl and with Meredith. I thought we were going to on this, yeah, you did a nice job. I thought in addition to this nice job, you were going to identify some of the trees that were inside the 100-foot buffer. Did we have a chance to do that? I know some were marked, maybe all were marked, I'm not sure, but I left thinking that we were going to have more clarity on this revised site plan.
Right. So the homeowner had marked trees to remove before we had laid out the limit of the 50-foot and the 100-foot. So there was in the field some confusion about which trees would be coming out. And so we did not identify, you know, specific trees via GPS, that this one would be coming out and that one would be staying. Instead, we limited the area in which trees could come out. And Meredith and I discussed conditioning the work such that in the order of conditions during the pre-construction meeting, the specific trees would be marked. And then Meredith would have the opportunity with the applicant to discuss if there were specific trees that were very close to the 50-foot line, if they needed to be removed or if they could be retained, maybe limbed and retained. But that we were considering conditioning that for you know, maybe the couple that were, you know, right here on the border that were outside of the 50 but very close. So that final decision would be made at a future date in conference with the
Right. Right. Meredith, what will we do on this one as far as the replanting rules? That's not the right word, but policy that we have. Do we not have a 2-for-1 deal?
Well, our policy isn't quite in place yet, but we're trying to make
Our
it so-
practice, what we've
Our
practiced.
Yeah, we've been trying to get,
Does any of that make sense here, Meredith?
1-for-1 or shrubs. If trees are going to be cut, we would ask for shrubs to be planted somewhere, native shrubs.
Has any thought been given to that?
This is the first that I'm hearing of this policy. We can certainly, you know, discuss with the applicant if that would be acceptable. I know in the future he was planning on putting in some, you know, vegetation as a screen. I'm sure he would be open to making that native vegetation, potentially in that buffer zone, to block his house and just, again, provide some privacy as the neighbor's driveway is in an easement on his property.
Yeah, how many trees are in this area between the 50-foot and the 100-foot buffer that will be removed? And when I say trees, what am I saying, Adrian? Something over, you know, like a 3-inch, you know, how many substantial trees? I was surprised by, you know, I just tried to guess, but Edmund's going to have to, his chainsaw is going to be busy there.
Yeah.
There are several trees. I mean, I don't have a formal count of, you know, how many trees are over 8-inch DBH or 12. You know, I would say there's maybe a half a dozen large trees and then quite a few small trees that are within the footprint of the clearing area and the house that are within jurisdiction.
Speaking in favor of this project, the wetland that we're protecting here does seem to have adequate protection in terms of shade from neighboring trees. So I'm not hugely worried about it, but a project like this, I always go back a year later and I'm shocked by where did all the trees go? I almost want to ask that we try to identify so that we're very specific that these are the trees that will be sacrificed for this beautiful home.
I mean, I feel that we are being somewhat specific in this area. You know, it's 20 feet west of the house, no trees further than that, including the small trees. The trees do thin out to the east. So along this edge, they do thin out. And so it's trees in this fairly limited area, which actually represents less than 20% of the buffer zone on site that we are requesting work in.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Meredith.
What was there a way to put the house outside of the buffer zone?
So the applicant bought this property, an acre-sized property, and would like to be fairly centrally located in it. There are setback requirements. So we have moved the house further south, closer to the setback to decrease the footprint. We actually removed about 300 square feet of impact from the buffer zone.
Okay, and is the 35 feet, that's the frontage setback?
Yes, that's the zoning setback.
Okay, and are those trees getting cleared? I realize it's outside of the buffer zone, but maybe that would, I'm just curious if everything's getting cleared up to the 50-foot. zone.
No, I mean, the applicant has not made final decisions about the front yard, but as he is interested in having, again, that privacy and setback from the roads, he is not planning on clear cutting the lot. He doesn't intend to have a perfect grass, manicured lawn. He wants to keep many of the trees that are along Pequot Point Road, and then also along New Broadway.
Adrian, the arrow shows us some more space between the house and the setback line. Were you considering moving that house any closer to it and farther away from the 50-foot?
Right, so there's about 8 feet there. So
Right.
not very much space. And again, the applicant's strong preference and his dream for this property is to be that little bit further back.
And will this have a foundation or built on a slab?
It'll have a foundation.
Okay, so as they're digging that foundation, they're going to be having equipment probably right up against that 50-foot mark in that upper left corner. Considering the size of equipment they need to get in there, the trucks to bring in the forms. How is that going to be remedied when you're finished?
Well, the silt fence will be installed, just outside of the 50-foot. So no vehicles will be in the 50-foot. No work will be conducted in the 50-foot. That will be a strictly adhered to boundary. So work will occur from the south. Materials will be moved off property to the south, away from the wetland and away from the buffer zone.
Okay.
So-
Other questions?
So Adrian, you're, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, can I butt in again?
Oh, no, go right ahead.
Adrian, so your solution to my concern about how many trees and which trees and, are going to be cut down is, if I understood you, once the landowner has his contractor come in and you're going to have like a pre-construction meeting, at that point, our administrator will go out on the field and she'll have the authority to say that tree stays, that one can go, that one can go. Is that what you were suggesting?
Yes.
Rather,
Yep, we were suggesting exactly. So as a pre-construction meeting is fairly standard with the conservation agent to review that the erosion control is properly in place, answer any outstanding questions about the conditions and how to perform the work in adherence with the conditions. And at that point in time, a final decision would be rendered on those couple of kind of borderline trees.
and pre-construction would include, that would be before any trees are cut. Is that correct?
Yes.
This pre-construction meeting?
Yes, it's generally done before there's any construction, any earthwork, anything that would create, sediment, which could become mobile.
It might be just my opinion, guys. It might be the way to go. I think we all have that kind of trust in Meredith. Or the other way is to stop this and have them be a little more specific with the tree count and perhaps even show it to us on a site plan.
Cliff? Anyone have any other comments?
That I support, allowing Meredith to work through this with the applicant prior to the trees getting cut.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
comfortable with that as well.
I think that,
It's
That's
a
a
single
rational way
family
to do
home,
it.
so I think it's appropriate. You know, if this was a huge commercial development, then no, maybe we'd want a little bit more upfront.
and I mean,
Yeah,
at
the
that time, we could
applicant-
also,
Sorry.
what about, we putting in shrubs and stuff, Meredith? Would that be decided at that point too?
Well, we should decide that now, and I feel bad that we didn't talk about that with the applicant or their consultant prior to this meeting. I mean, we could put it in the order that 5 or 10 native shrubs need to be planted, so this doesn't go from a nice forested buffer zone to a lawn.
Mhm.
Mr. Edward did talk about doing some screening, but he's probably just going to do arborvitae, because what else do people do for screenings unless you hire a landscape architect who does something a little more creative.
Mhm.
So I think a good solution, if the commission is open to it, this area is forested, right? And the wetland is forested, and kind of the western 2/3 of the property is forested, but the rest is currently open grass. Would the commission be interested in planting shrubs closer to the wetland within the 50-foot buffer that is currently open lawn? I know it's outside of our limit of work, but it may be more beneficial to the wetland to maybe install, trees or small native shrubs here, such as dogwood, winterberry holly, some type of native planting close to that wetland boundary.
That's where I was going before, Adrian, is that a lot of the consultants that come before us will have that on a piece of paper for us to look at. Now, maybe we surprised you by even talking about a replacement, the idea of replacing some of the trees with other vegetation. But I, for one, like the idea. I for one, would vote to allow you to encroach the 50-foot line in order to do a low profile type of planting. But how do we do that now? I mean, it sounds like we're getting ready to rock and roll and approve this, but there's, again, do we throw that on you and Meredith at this pre-construction meeting to decide that? I'm not sure that's the way to.
Oh, we could put it in the order of conditions. And Adrian could update the plan. If we say we'd like 10, 15 native shrubs in the existing lawn area, so we don't have to have another whole meeting about this. I think we can name the shrubs now. We love dogwood, winterberry holly. I forget what else was down there. It was like Decadon wetland, but what else did I see? I don't know. Spice bush, if you could ever get that,
We certainly could try.
I mean, the plants we can decide because we don't know what we can necessarily get. But I was looking at, the mown lawn up to the wetland edge is definitely a detriment. So why don't we focus on improving that and let this guy build his dream home and compromise.
Yeah, I would be happy to update the plan and resubmit it to the commission that shows a dozen native shrubs that are, in 2 to 3 foot size to be planted within the inner 50 feet near the wetland.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
I would be happy with that. The only thing is you have to look at, it's very sandy up there. So you're going to have to look at the specimens that you're going to put in to make sure that they're adaptable to sandy soil.
I'm
That's
sure
a
that
good
can be figured out.
Yeah, maybe we're looking at blueberry rather than.
That's right. Winterberry won't work in that area, Meredith.
Okay. Too bad it's the prettiest, but okay. Yeah.
It's a
We've
nice,
got blueberry, or, you know, it is outside of the wetland, so we can use more facultative species, but certainly they would be native to him. You know, they would be off the native species list.
Would that be acceptable to the commission? About a dozen shrubs in that
That's
50-foot
good,
buffer zone?
and to follow through on the applicant's suggestion, come back with an actual written plan that'll firm everything up. And then that way, you know, we don't really have to put that specific request into the order of conditions. It'll just be addressed as part of the plan.
I think what she was offering was to do that after the fact, Jim, this new
Right.
plan.
I didn't perceive that. Sorry.
Yes, I was proposing to do it after the fact. The applicant is very interested and keen to get working on this property. As we all know, winter is coming, and there is also some work outside of the buffer zone that has to do with moving the existing water lines that the city will be conducting. But they cannot conduct that work until he has an order of conditions that confirms, you know, the wetlands and that they are outside of jurisdiction. And the waterworks has I think a November stop work date. So we are highly motivated to hopefully close this meeting so that he can get to work soon before it gets any colder or wetter.
With that information, then we would make it part of the order of conditions.
We appreciate that.
Is that
David,
acceptable to the commission?
Yes.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of clarify. So the proposed plantings would be between the property line, the wetland, and the 50-foot line. Is that correct?
Yes, they would be in
Okay.
this kind of lower triangle.
Right. Okay.
one more question. You said that you would do mature stuff, which I like. You talked about 2 to 3 foot stuff that you would propose in the
Yes.
plan. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Mr. Chairman,
Right.
the landowner, the applicant, Edmund, is a fine, you know, young man. Would he like to say a word before we move on this?
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Let me just double
Hello.
check. Hello. I just wanted to check if my mic was on. My name's Edward. I'm the property owner, and yeah, we had the walkthrough yesterday to see the land. I actually stopped by today. We didn't get a chance to go to work because it was pouring all day, so I had a chance to go to the land, measure out about 20 feet, and I had used flagging tape to basically mark some of the trees that were in the area. And then afterwards, as we spoke yesterday, with Meredith coming down afterwards, before we started cutting any trees down, to just double check with the trees that I had marked, which ones were going and which ones that were right on the 50-foot buffer line that maybe we would like to keep.
All right. Well, thank you.
You.
So the commission seems to be in agreement about doing the order of conditions, but conditioning a new plan and the shrubs. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
There is, I guess, one more thing that we should consider about the conditions is to whether we need any kind of monuments or signs along that 50-foot.
Good point,
line.
Carl. Good point.
Well, again, that's one of the items in the orders, so we can, you know, address that when we get to that item in the orders. Okay,
All right.
so
Then I'm happy
any
with
other
this.
questions? Okay, thanks. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience concerning this particular project? Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make
So
a
moved.
motion, we move, close the public hearing.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it then.
All right, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Jim,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Cliff,
Oh, yes.
Okay,
No.
Alex,
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Motion passes. Meredith, want to put up the order or the conditions?
Sure. Oops. Okay, can you see that?
Uh-huh.
Yes.
So I've already scrolled down to the
Okay.
regular.
All right. There's no SWIP involved. Deed recording, yes. The DEP sign, yes. Restriction language, yes.
Uh-oh, hold on 1 second.
Okay.
It always goes so fast.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay. Oopsies.
All right.
Okay. Sorry.
So, all right. 54, no. 55, yes. 56, yes. Excavator copy, 57, yes. Construction sequence, yes. Erosion controls, 59, yes. Pre-construction meeting, yes.
Okay.
Okay, emergency contacts, yes. 48-hour notice, yes. Title 5, is this septic or on city sewer?
City sewer.
Okay. Water quality cert, we don't need one of those.
Nope.
Okay, permanent markers, Carl.
Yeah, I don't know whether that seems to be necessary. I would think it might be, even though there's a kind of a clear line between the treed area and the cleared area. But I can see in future that that might sort of be encroached upon. So I'll propose that we put monuments of some sort. What's the standard? Every 50 feet along that line? Is that
Yes.
okay? Does everyone
I
else
just
think that's
one.
reasonable, or?
I think maybe two, when we say monuments, I think of birdhouses. It can be signage that the Conservation Commission has approved. But, I'm just trying to picture it again, Carl. If we put like a couple on that, in that area, I think that, I know that's not, it would be, if we did 50 feet, I think it'd be a little overdone.
I kind of agree with you, Tom. I think birdhouses, we don't need to do boulders. We want this thing to stand out. It's to blend in with the natural resources that are there and make it look inviting.
Yeah, and to remind the owner and remind future owners that's a no tread area, a no dig area. What do you think, Carl? Think two?
Sure, yeah. How about bird feeders or something very similar? And I'm suggesting maybe 3 of them along that line.
Okay.
I don't know if that sounds reasonable to everybody else.
But these would still have the sign on them saying it's a restricted area, even though it's a birdhouse.
Correct.
That would look
Okay.
that would look friendly.
Okay. All right. Is that agreeable to the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So you've got that, Meredith?
3 birdhouses, 3 with signs.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Got it.
Keep moving on. Here we go.
Yep. Don't
Okay.
need
There's no comp storage. No
Oops.
basins.
No.
Okay. Tag trees, yes.
Yep. Okay.
There's no permanent basins. There's no salt zone, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, liquid fertilizer. So some of the lawn is in the 50-foot.
Yeah.
All
So we
right.
should, yeah.
I would
have-
like
We
72
should probably
there,
check.
please.
Yeah, check this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, 74. Okay, erosion controls, yes. 75, yes. 76, yes. I don't think we need 78. There's no catch basins,
Right.
so we don't need 79, 80, or 81.
Right,
All right, there's no stormwater structures.
right. Oops.
All right, we don't need a monitor.
I think we need the next one though, Mr. Chair. In 89,
Which
I
one's
think.
that?
I think it was 89. No, I'm sorry. No, no, keep going.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
No
Okay, there's no dewatering. And there's no dredging.
Oops.
There's no replication. Okay, so 106, yes, permanent stabilization. 107, yes. 108, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, and the next one would be the bond, I think. Well, future the orders, yes.
None of those other ones.
110,
Oops.
yeah, we don't need those other ones, yeah.
Right, just 112.
112, yes.
Yes, okay. Bond.
Okay, a bond.
I'd like to propose between 2,500 to 5,000, probably on the lower end of that.
All right, how about 2,500?
Works for me.
Yeah, I'm okay
Okay,
with that.
everything's outside, yeah, it's all outside the 50 foot, so,
Yeah. Okay. 25 then, please. Yeah.
all right, great. All right, then, okay, your
Yep.
added conditions. Okay, so first one would be no trees are to be cut until approved during a pre-construction meeting between the applicant, the consultant, and Meredith. How's that? Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right. Secondly, applicant will present an updated plan showing 12 shrubs added to the property within the 50-foot buffer zone. Is that wording okay?
And did you say, sorry, David, did you say native, all native?
I'm sorry,
in there? I
native
can't-
shrubs
I can't remember.
approved by the coordinator.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, get Meredith involved.
Well, then we know what we're getting. So. All right, any other special conditions to be added? Seeing none, entertain a motion to
Sounds
approve
good.
the order conditions.
Yeah, so moved.
All right, have
How
a
about I'll
second.
second?
I'll
All right,
second.
any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, Carl,
Yes.
Jim,
Yep.
Alex,
Yes.
Tom,
I'll vote yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and attention with this.
Okay, all right, Meredith will be in contact with you.
Thank you.
All right, item D, 457 East Main Street. In accordance with the provisions, Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, a public hearing will be held on October 26, 2021 at 6:30 PM by virtual meeting regarding a notice of intent submitted by Henry Resinoff of Massfield LLC for the construction of a drive-through restaurant located within the 100-year floodplain located at 457 East Main Street in Westfield. Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Meredith.
Ryan Nelson again from Arlebeck Associates.
Oh, okay. All right, welcome.
Share my screen. Okay, so we've been working with Bowler Engineering, who developed a site plan set for this project. This is located in the northeast corner of the DevCon Shops Plaza. You guys are familiar where that is on Route 20. Here are the existing conditions of the site. Right now, it's currently 100% paved parking. This is the side property line here. So this is the subject property. This dashed line you see is pretty much the limit of work that they're going to be doing within this existing parking lot. They're looking to put up a restaurant drive-through building located here. The footprint is about 2,417 square feet. Overall, there will be a net reduction in impervious area due to the installation of landscaped islands as compared to the 100% pavement that exists now. Also, as part of this project, they're going to be installing some stormwater upgrades. There's 2 additional catch basins that will be located on site. Right now, there's only 1 in this corner. So there'll be more, although we're reducing impervious, we're also providing for greater attenuation and capture and stormwater on the site. But the more important matter of why we're here is this site is located within the flood zone. So the flood zone for this site is at an elevation of 132. We have calculated the flood displacement shown on this table here. So our existing grade, the lowest point starts at 125. And from 125 to 127, we have a large portion, and relative to the size of the project, an area portion of fill related to raising the site so we get positive drainage away from the building for stormwater. And then the building's finished floor elevation will be 126.75. And then from there, those at each increasing elevation interval, that's calculated by the square footage of the building multiplied by that 1 foot height interval. So overall, the column in red is the total displacement of volume within the flood zone, a total of 789.95 cubic yards. And as you guys are familiar, the applicant for this project is getting the compensatory storage off-site from the Brixmore comp storage parcel on South Meadow Road. A couple meetings ago, we came before you with a revised comp storage plan where we expanded those volumes. Geeler Construction has already enacted that, and it's complete. It was hydro seeded last week, and I stopped by the other day, and things have sprouted. The grades look good. It looks to be real. They did a really nice job. So those comp storage volumes already exist, and for this project, the applicant has an agreement with Brixmore to pull their requisite numbers from their surplus storage. So the net remaining flood storage volumes are shown in this last column over here. So aside from that, the only resource area we're disturbing or working in is the flood zone. And the project has already gone through planning board site plan review. I talked to Jeremy Siegel and Meredith a little bit today. There was a hiccup with some of the proposed grading at the southerly end of the site. But we've since revised those flood storage numbers, and they're in the updated table that I just showed you. That hits on.
Thank you.
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead,
Mr.
Ryan.
Mr. Chairman, can we ask the applicant just to clarify where this is actually within the parking lot? I'm not quite sure where it is in the lot.
Sure. Let me pull up a map. Give me 1 second.
Thanks, Ryan.
If you guys can see that, this red building, that's, I believe, is that Phipps Liquor Store. The Big Y Plaza is here. I believe this is Applebee's. So the proposed site is going right here.
Okay, so closer to Route 20.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ryan.
Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Now, so this is almost down to the end of the the plaza just before you get to the last plaza, right? And you're trying to use the comp storage from the Brixmore, which comes in off the stream, right? Not off the river.
So my
The reason I'm questioning that is because there was such concern with the comp storage from the Brixmore property because it was on the river for the Aldi's, and you could sell that because I was right next to it and it was right behind it. But that floodplain would definitely be from the river, not the stream.
You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I know what you're saying, but it was my recollection that during the hearings for this comp storage for Brixmore, the Aldi's parcel, that this flood zone was a confluence of the Little River and the Westfield River. And I know we had an outside consultant, and I don't think it was ever really determined if we could distinguish between the two.
I thought we had the flow charts that showed the flow coming from the river, and which shows it going through the parking lot from the river on a flood on the flow charts. But then, like I said, I thought the only reason we went with the Brixmore thing with Aldi's was because in essential it was right behind it. You know, you're talking going what, a quarter mile down the street from the stream, not even from the river. I mean, the river's definitely got to be the flood zone on that property. Unless I'm wrong, everybody. I mean, I'm just throwing out what I.
So I believe that the way the regs are written, it has to be within the same floodplain, within the same reach of the river. So we are within the same floodplain to the Westfield River. I don't know where you know, I do understand the concern, but I'm not sure where you could draw the line and say what's too far, what's too close.
Well, do you have the chart for the flood
the FEMA flood map? Sure, let me see.
Not the flood map, but the what was I just talking about? The flow charts.
I don't know if I've ever seen a flow chart.
The Fermet, maybe? The FEMA Fermet, like stuff we were looking at for Aldi?
Right. The flow chart, if I recall, comes from, I know where the branches for that river, you know, for the stream, which is where the Brixmore property is, you know, it's upstream there a little bit from the river. And that was a major concern with everybody there. And this is a half a mile down the street. So the flood, I mean, if I recall looking at the flow charts showed it coming straight from the river because it's been there from the river going straight through the parking lot. Like I said, we were able to sell it on the flow charts. I mean, because of the Aldi's being so close to that other property. But so you're talking, I just want to get this right. So you're talking if the banks, if I recall, the banks of the river are going to flood first before the stream. So if the banks in the river come into the parking lot, and then it has to go all the way back upstream, around the corner, up the stream, into that compensatory storage, you know, and the flow charts were, well, like for instance, on what you just put up, you have 133, 135, 132 in that area. So that's going to come off the river, which is across the street at 132, you know, and, you know, it naturally grades up. Yeah, I know you had another chart that showed a floodway, which showed the flow of the you know, the river. And I know that, like I said, there was that whole question because it was right there near the corner. But like I said, this property is definitely downstream from down river, which is, and then the compensatory storage is upstream. So you got to go up the stream, got to go up the river, then up the stream to get to that compensatory storage. You know, well, I know that's what it is. Just throwing it out there for everybody.
I think
So-
I think I'd say from a regulatory standpoint, you know, we have to look at this flood map that's up. I think where we have, you know, some ability to make a decision is if we decide, you know, this parcel is not within the same reach of the river. But in terms of the floodplain, you know, FEMA hasn't done us any favors in this area because the floodplain is combined between the two rivers. And based on the way the wetland regs are, we don't really have, you know, the ability to dissect that in any reasonable, you know, economic fashion, if you will. And we haven't imposed that level even on Brixmore at the time. You know, we didn't make them do a hydraulic model of this entire floodplain to tell us, you know, at which flood stage each river affected which particular point out here. Because you'd have to hydraulically model this whole thing to get to that. And we haven't, you know, and we haven't held
Right.
that standard, and I don't think we should have. So I do get what you're saying, Cliff, but I don't think we can like regulate it that way. We could say, you know, we feel this is beyond the reach of the Little River. You know, the comp storage is off the Little River, which is kind of what you were getting at.
Right.
I think when we were talking about Brixmore, we said the Little River would hit that comp storage basin before it affected the property, you know, because it was coming down the Little River. It would fill that comp storage area before it hopped the other bank. I know that was again, kind of the timing and the hydraulics of that were up for debate, but again, we're not really supposed to opine on that. So we really didn't, you know, so, you know, I guess it comes down to whether you feel this is impacted by the Little River or not. But again, the floodplain is kind of shown as combined between the two.
Well, Alex, the only reason I'm questioning that is then I don't know. I'm just asking just going further, you know, future too. What's the reach of that comp storage? Is that enough comp storage to go all the way down to Walmart? You're still on the same river. You know what I mean? Is it all
Depends,
the way?
it depends where
is
you
it all the
determine
way up?
that quote reach of the river ends. And I tell you too, just practically from a hydrology standpoint, you know, the Little River is going to flood. The problem with this flood map and it being the tool that we have to regulate within this area is that these two rivers, you know, might be affected by different types of rainstorms. Like the Little River might be impacted by a rain event that barely affects the Westfield River. Okay, now the comp storage is very effective. The Westfield River, on the contrary, may be the one affected by something that's more, you know, up in the Huntington area. And it might come ripping down the Westfield River and they might be letting the dams run. And all of a sudden the Westfield River's at flood stage and the Little River's just kind of, you know, sure bank full, but it's not jumping its banks. But this map doesn't really give us the power to pick and choose between that. So it's a real challenge in this area because the regs don't give us a lot of ability, a lot of flexibility to deal with this particular hyper complex situation that happens to be where we freaking put all our strip malls. So, you know, like this whole area shouldn't really be developed, but that was done years ago. I mean, we're not really, if you stop it here, it's just going to show up somewhere else. So it's unfortunate. It's the confluence of two rivers. It's a complicated floodplain area. It's really not all that clear.
Well, that's why I was saying, I mean, I like to have a definition on how far we're going to keep allowing it. Like I said, so by this standard, it would go all the way down to the West Springfield line and it would go all the way.
No, my standard, Cliff, would be right here. See where the teal ends against the orange?
Yep.
That's basically where I'd say, you know what, we're really starting to stretch things here. You know, and then the zone X, that's upgrade, that's a 500-year floodplain, that interrupts it. I mean, you know, you're getting into clear features there where the river comes under the bridges and it's clear that you kind of got, you know, the shopping plaza area versus further down Route 20. I mean, I would just approach it practically like that. You know, I get your point. We don't want to be approving this like South Meadow thing down into West Springfield. I'm with you there.
Yeah, I was just saying because there was such that concern with the Aldi's, you know what I mean, with the flooding there, and then all of a sudden now we're using comp storage there for, you know, for 3 owners' properties further down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it either. You know, it's.
Hey, I'm just throwing it out there as my observations.
If you note, the DEP really didn't address that issue at all. All they said was we should keep track of the bank storage. So they don't seem to have a problem with the location of the comp storage versus the site of the project.
Yeah, I know, but it's the board, it's this board's call. It's not the,
Right.
they're
They usually
just
do.
recommending. It seems like they had a lot more recommendations for the Aldi's than they did for this.
Meredith?
Yeah, they usually do mention, if it is a concern for them, they do mention it should be located in the same river reach. And I don't even believe the river reach is defined in Wetlands Protection Act. So the regs aren't really written in a way that helps us regulate a lot. I think what we have to think about is this area is all in the floodplain. It seems like I remember from the Aldi meetings, those folks, the concerns folks said that the Little River did flood directly into this parking lot. And it's a parking lot now. I don't know. It doesn't seem that far-fetched to have the comp storage area where they have it located. Ideally, it would be closer to this particular slab, but I don't know. It's up to you guys. I don't know what you've done in the past. I think we should be consistent. Like, where did Home Depot do their comp storage? Didn't they do it on the other side of the Westfield? So
they also did some right on their site.
Okay.
Gulf Acres did theirs across the river, absolutely, off of Union Street.
And Home Depot did theirs on the other side of the railroad track. Oh,
Was that ever going to get floodwater? I don't have a clear sense of where that is. But
so
I don't know.
I think if this area floods, you're not going to be able to tell which particle of water came from which river.
Right. It's a confluence. And that's what the peer reviewer said too before. I mean, they really.
Meredith, I'm just saying, I know this came up dramatically with the Aldi's project, and then now we're just, I don't know what the difference is. Now we're kind of just like, okay, that's fine. Where that was a major concern with that. And now
we also had abutters that were.
I mean, for the record, on all these, I was ready to go after like 2 meetings, but we had all kinds of consultants and things going on, so that it didn't move that quickly. But there was definitely abutters we wanted to hear out on that project, and that was the cause of a lot of it and a lot of the discussion. I think a lot of the things you're recalling, Cliff, about flow diagrams and things, there were definitely some things that were put up for us that had been brought by the abutters.
Yeah.
Trying to demonstrate hydraulically how things happen, from the Little River to Mainline Drive, then to the plaza. I don't know. To me, that's where a lot of it was coming from on that one. But the core floodplain issue. I mean, we approved. I don't remember where the comp storage was. We approved the Five Guys drive-through. There was something weird. This floodplain is confusing every time we deal with it because it's a mess.
The only reason I'm saying.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the commission?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for Ryan.
Sure.
And,
a fence in a yard or a shed in a yard, and the big business, it's like, okay, yeah, go ahead. I'm just looking for the the smaller. That's all. Remember we had a problem with a guy had to buy a piece of property across the street there because he wanted to put up his signpost. To do the doors at the Wagner rug place. He had to, buy a piece of property. For the small business, yet the big one were just like, oh yeah, go ahead, just do it. I'm just throwing it out there. Just the smaller guy should have an easier path because they don't have the resources than the big guy does.
Unfortunately, that's not the way we can do it.
Well, yeah. Well, remember I said we should be charging them, banking some store. If they want us to bank storage, they should be donating some to the city all the time and stuff like this. And I'm just saying, where the little guy could use it, where the big guy like Brooksmore, what's the big deal on digging out 10 more shovelfuls that the little guy, wants to put up a shed on his yard, you know what I mean? And we make them, you know, like I said, I know this is going to go forward. I just throwing out my opinion just for the future. That's all.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
So I have a question
Jim.
for Ryan. Based on, if I'm recalling how, where this is actually located in the lot, it seems to be near the exit area. The FIP, why don't we just say the FIPS exit area that's already a curb cut right by Route 20? Is that accurate?
So this would be the curb cut you're thinking about right here.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep. So we're over here.
Okay.
Are you looking for like a distance wise?
No. I just wanted to orient that again.
Okay.
So let's say in a flood event though, and would the flood water that comes to this site come from across the street from the Home Depot area, or would it actually go through the parking lot, you know, over by Aldi's, you know, following that path? So I guess my question is where's the water connection?
So sure. Let me go back. Hold on here.
That's the $1 million question, Jim.
Yeah, and because, you know, you know, what Cliff has brought up and others also is this is a further distance, and I don't know if a quarter of a mile sounds like a good guess for now, but
Right.
but
So
is this down gradient from Aldi's using that through the parking lot area versus down gradient from the Home Depot flooding?
So yes, I know, I understand completely what you're asking. So Aldi's site had an existing grade lowest elevation of 125. That was the majority of the existing grade of that site. That's exactly the same elevation for this new proposed site that Mr. Resnikoff is doing farther down the road. So they have the same base elevation for existing conditions. And the flood elevation for Aldi's area was 135 because it's a little more upstream. But for this project, for Resnikoff, closer to Phipps Liquor, the flood elevation is 132. So I guess the flood elevation is dynamic and changing, but the existing grade is the same across the parking lot. Sure, there's minor undulations, ups and downs to sheet flow to catch basins and whatnot, but the broad average is the same elevation.
Okay, so that said, does water from all these building as an orientation, let's say flood water hits it there from the Little River.
Yep.
Does that flood water flow along Route 20, or does it flow through the parking lot behind the new Kentucky Fried Chicken, behind People's Bank, behind CVS? And does it flow down to this new proposed building?
And
where's once again, where's the water coming to and going to? Would this building be impacted by water jumping the Westfield River over by Home Depot and crossing over that way and then crossing Route 20 to this building?
Sure. So I can't predict, or I don't know for sure exactly which way the water is flowing, but the way I think of it is that it's called the flood plain. So a plain being, you know, once it spills its banks, you have a flat plain. So it's like a tabletop. The tabletop is the same elevation as our comp storage area. It's the same elevation as the TJ Maxx. It's the same elevation as this new proposed site. So yes, there's probably a floodway where water's directed, but once it spilled those banks, it disperses based on elevation. That's why they call it a floodplain. I don't know. No, there's so many factors as to how that water moves beyond that. Trees, cars, buildings. I can't speak to that.
So none of us have the answers to this question.
It seems like a pretty important question because it comes down to, is the Brixmore site the proper location for its compensatory storage? If the water's not going to get there.
I know, but that's where we brought in a consultant to tell us what we need to know.
But that was right. I understand, Bob, you're right. But that was a quarter mile, I think, plus away at the confluence of two waterways. This is closer to the Westfield River.
So do we have to get a consultant, Jim? Do you think that's, because we're not,
Ryan has the answer.
we're not that knowledgeable on this.
No.
I mean, I think we exhausted it plenty enough with the Aldi's project. Our interpretation is the floodplain, as Alex said, it doesn't distinguish between the two waterways. It's merged as one. Water finds its own level. We're at the same exact matching elevations. There's no reason why the water can't and wouldn't travel between these two sites.
Jim, a comment. If you go to Home Depot, you have to go down a hill to get to it from Route 20.
Right.
I think the water would reach this site coming off the Little River before it would reach this site coming off the Westfield River. Because that Home Depot parking lot is going to end up like a huge swimming pool before it breaks the bank at Route 20.
Right, but that swimming pool, I think, is less than 132. And I don't even know if it's probably less than 125, but I really don't know. And we know it's breached the doors, like 10 years ago, it breached, it went inside and flooded.
Right, but it's still got to go up probably one story before it can get to Route 20.
Mm.
I think the other important piece here is it's like, again, like in one rain event, it could be the Little River that flooded everything and goes across 20 and discharges to the Westfield River. And another rain event, it could be the Westfield River that comes up and floods across to the Little River. And in most events, it's that both are up and both are contributing to the floodplain. But these things are dynamic. You know what I mean? We can't say it's going to be one or the other. Ryan's point about the floodplain is accurate in that the idea with the comp storage is that if we're going to fill a bucket over here, we got to take that same bucket out over there so that the water in this one confined area doesn't make it to another area in the same event in the future. So do we think that the meadows over there are hydraulically connected to the shopping center? I tend to think that they are. And so for me, I tend to believe that area, while it's getting a little bit far away, if this whole thing's in flood stage, I don't see the impediments between that edge of that meadow area and the shopping center, and between Westfield and Little River, the whole thing is got comparable elevations. The whole thing floods from both rivers. There are low spots, like David said, with Home Depot, because that's definitely lower than Route 20, observably so. But that's the question. I know that's kind of the question that got thrown back out, but are they hydraulically connected is the question. I tend to see this whole area as kind of one big area, and I believe that's the way that we've treated it. And, at least in my couple of years on the commission, it appears to me that's the way it's been treated historically, just by the way this area has been developed. So, it seems to be a huge sticking point lately. You know what I mean? It's something that keeps coming before us. But I really think saying no to this particular proposal would kind of deviate from where we've been going. To Cliff's point earlier, I would not go to the right of Little River Road and still want to be saying we could be using, this area way over there. To me, you got roads and things that would start to impound the water and stuff like that. But based on the map and proximity, I'm is probably the limit of my comfort, but I'm comfortable with this one.
All right, thanks, Alex.
I'm slightly uneasy myself, but I am going to agree with Alex and with Ryan. And I'm also making myself a little more comfortable knowing that our state, that the people that deal with this perhaps more regularly than we, both DEP and have accepted the way that they kind of are echoing, or perhaps their thoughts are what Alex and Ryan are echoing. So I'm in favor of this project also, but I did want to salute the discussion. I think I think it's important that you guys forced us to once again think about this. So thank you.
Okay, other questions? I know Meredith, you had some concerns.
Mr.
In
Chair,
the notes you gave us. You want to go through those?
I have one more, Mr. Chair, before we go to Meredith,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Okay.
It's just sort of an administrative question. I think, Ryan, you said this was bank storage. Why are you
correct.
calling it bank? Why are you calling it bank storage when they're taking everything from South Meadow, when that was purposely removed for this? I'm just curious.
Not
Bank,
quite. So the Brixmore comp storage area was excavated for magnitudes and surplus of what they need at the moment. So this apportioning of comp storage to Mr. Resnikoff's project is where we're getting this banked, I guess, terminology from. This was not dug out solely for him.
Okay, all right. Well, I understand that, but I guess who's going to portion out that storage? Whose responsibility is that now?
That's an agreement between Brixmore and Mr. Resnikoff that they reached, and they have, their own legal documents for that. And Brixmore has signed our notice of intent agreeing to such.
So what if another applicant comes in, unrelated to Brixmore, unrelated to your agency, unrelated to Mr. Resnikoff, totally independent, and would like access to that? I mean, and let's say they get access to it, but where's the audit trail end and start on this? So we know where it is, and really what's being used there.
I mean, I don't know how you prohibit someone from wrongfully, submitting an NOI without a property owner's, consent. But I think a good thing that has been done in the past is keeping these tables in the order of conditions, so that when you go back to the registry in the future, you can track and follow the progression of, projects based on dates, and then what the net remaining surplus is, and you can just, keep taking, a wedge out of the pie, and over time, chronologically, what's remaining.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate
Sure.
it.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, back to you.
Jim, can I just, or Mr.
Okay,
Chair, can I
Meredith.
just say one thing too? At a certain
Yes.
point, like 5 years down the road, if we're concerned it's getting silted in and somebody comes forward, we can just tell them they have to survey it again to validate the,
Right.
the existing numbers, to make sure the basis was still correct and it didn't start to infill or whatever. So we do
Yeah.
have the ability to go back, and then it would just be a matter of tracking down what we said was already claimed, which, to Jim's point, is the concern I think the commission's always had, is where, where do you put those? There will be a recorded trail, but you kind of got to remember when the most recent project was, I guess.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, Meredith, to your concerns?
Let's see. I think many of them have been addressed already tonight.
Okay. Number 3?
Yes, the stormwater improvements Ryan went over those. They're going to have additional catch basins I forget if they're deep sumps or they were going to decrease the impervious surface in the existing parking lot and do some landscaped islands. One of my questions and kind of hopes was that trees could be planted along in islands, sort of along Route 20 there. It's just a massively developed floodplain, and it is in our jurisdiction. I don't know why planning board didn't really harp on that, but I know they are planting some trees. I don't know if they're native or not, but it's in a parking lot. I mean, I don't know if native trees would do great in this situation where it's, densely developed. But yeah, I think bigger picture, I'd like to see more trees along Route 20. And I don't see why that's a huge issue. So no one ever responded. I did email the applicant and Ryan about that, and I didn't hear. Maybe I don't know where the exact property line is. Maybe that's not possible.
I can answer that if you want, Meredith.
Sure.
Sure.
Who's that?
This is Henry Resnikoff speaking. We had discussed with the planning board about planting, but that's actually the state right of way is the front property. It's not ours, nor is it DevCon's. And the state doesn't allow us to plant trees in there.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, I understand that too, because I've ran into that situation in the past. The state doesn't allow anything along the state highway, or you have to propose to them what you're going to do. And usually they're not too kind about putting trees along the state highway. So I don't know if that's going to work.
So maybe you can do it, but you have to get a permit.
Yeah, but 9 times out of 10, it doesn't work.
Okay, well, I'm glad to see at least landscaped islands in this sea of asphalt. And, I was curious about, if we're allowing, they're banking all this comp storage over on South Meadow Road. I think, we allowed quite a large area for the Aldi comp storage area to be expanded. And there's quite a bit more left. So it seems like other projects are going to be coming. And I think it's going to be important for us to consider where those buildings are going relative to the river reach, to Cliff's point earlier. This is probably the extent of where we would be logically comfortable saying the water is going to get here. We did permit that KFC, and they did a comp storage area right behind Big Y, which seemed to make sense to everybody at the time. So I think just a comment for future projects. And just for the record, DP doesn't love that we allow banking. And I think that's mostly because it's hard to keep track of, but I've been cutting and pasting the table right into the order, and that will get recorded on the deed. So at least that's some sort of record.
Meredith, your audio is off right now. You're getting double.
Really? Is it like a echo?
Like an echo.
Okay, I don't know. It's not. I don't really know how to stop that. But anyways, I can log off and log back on if it's really annoying.
Maybe
your
if the rest
number 8
of us mute while Meredith is talking, maybe that will help.
I guess my last comment was, I did have the engineering department look over this, and they had some comments about some fill not being accurately measured and displayed in the comp storage table, and Ryan subsequently updated the comp storage table and sent that over. So I think we're squared away on that.
and has the project met the performance standards?
If Ryan wants to go over the performance standards for bordering land subject to flooding.
Sure, I can pull those up. Give me 1 second.
Have them too somewhere. Oh, here, I have them too, Ryan, if you.
Okay, sure. Go ahead. You can share them if you have them.
Yeah, I have them right here. Let's see. So the first one is the compensatory storage area shall be provided for all flood storage volume that would be lost as a result of the proposed project within bordering lands subject to flooding. I think, yeah, we did hammer these pretty good when we did Aldi. So basically the first one is volume to volume in elevation to elevation. Are they providing the same volume in each elevation? And engineering went over that and they were in agreement that what they're providing is acceptable. So work within bordering land subject to flooding, including that work required to provide the above specified comp storage shall not restrict flows. So not to increase the flood stage velocity. I guess we just presume that that building, the drive-through building, won't increase flows. And then the last one, it speaks about the significance to the protection of wildlife habitat. And work shall not impair its capacity to provide important wildlife habitat functions. Well, not a lot of wildlife habitat functions and values really in the parking lot. So, so I guess they're good on that front.
All right. Other questions from the commission?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, to the applicant.
Yes.
Ryan, will this building be flood proof? And also will it be required to have flood proof doors like CVS, Applebee's, Home Depot, et cetera?
Ryan, I'll be happy to answer that. This is Henry Resnikoff. The
Hi,
building
Henry.
is, yeah, the building has been designed to be flood proof to meet all the codes. It's already been reviewed once by the building official, and the plans that have been submitted to the building official have all of those elements that are required.
Okay, thank you, Henry.
Okay. Any other questions? Right. Any questions or comments from the audience concerning this project? All right. I don't think the commission needs a site visit for this one.
No.
All right. Entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Bob?
I'll vote yes.
Okay. Bob?
Yes.
Okay. Carl?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Alex?
Yes.
Cliff?
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. All right, okay, bring up the conditions again,
Oh yeah,
Meredith.
sure. Let me see if I can get, hold on 1 second. Start over.
Okay,
Oops. Okay, we have our standard conditions.
okay, there we go. Deed recording, yes.
I think this is over an
yes,
a little bit over an acre.
okay, so we'll do a SWIP.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, deed recording, yes.
Mhm.
DEV sign, yes. Restriction language, yes. Right, wildlife, no. Applicant letter, yes. Contractor, yes. Excavator, yes. Construction sequence, yes. Erosion controls. Are they on the plan?
I think So, I would
They're
hope
on
so.
they're on the civil plans.
Okay, great.
All right, so 59, yes.
Hmm.
60, yes, 6 pre-construction meeting. Contact information, yes. 40-hour notice, yes. Okay, no Title V, no water quality cert, no markers or signage. Com storage, yes. There's no temporary basins.
Right.
All right, no trees, no basins. All right, 71, no, I guess. 72, no. 73, no. 74, yes.
Yes.
75 and 76.
Yep.
79, there are catch basins, correct?
Yes, we definitely want silt sacks.
Okay. Okay, good. And then 80 as well.
Yep.
Are there grease traps in the catch basins too?
And the new
I guess
ones,
so.
yeah.
Yes. Okay, so 81.
Yeah.
Right. So
Stormwater
82,
structures.
yes.
Yeah.
83, yes, I think. I
Sorry.
can't see it anymore.
Sorry, hold on. Okay.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
We don't need 84 or 85.
Okay.
86, I guess.
Deed restriction. Oops. I don't know about that one.
Okay.
But
All right,
for-
let's skip
does
that
that
one.
include catch basins? Or is this mostly detention and basins? Are there any storm drain easements on the plans? I don't remember.
Well, it does include under E, stormwater management structures.
Okay, we can,
So do that one.
okay, yeah, we want it documented.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just do E.
All right, all right, so we don't need a monitor.
Right.
No
Oops.
dewatering,
Right.
no dredging. No replication. 106, yes.
Yes.
Permanent stabilization. 107, yes. 108, yes. Okay, 109, yes. 110, 110, yes.
Yeah, we will want an O&M plan so they can
Yes.
maintain the catch basins.
So 111.
Yep.
And 112.
Yep.
Okay, bond.
Hey, Jim, before you even start your thinking, I'd almost argue that we don't need a bond on this. What could go wrong?
Well, I mean, before I answer that, what did we bond the new Kentucky Fried Chicken? Because it's a similar type of a project, I think.
I don't remember.
Meredith, do you remember?
I don't remember, but I can check. Let me,
Because it is quite similar.
yeah. But that one they didn't have the comp storage area done already. Whereas this one, their comp storage area is complete. I'm guessing it was like $5,000, but I'm trying to.
Are you able to bring up the bond spreadsheet?
Yes, I'm on the server right now. So let me see if I can see. Colleen has graciously organized. It's all very organized in a spreadsheet. Is it in the bond documents folder? Is it just in the?
It might be in the bond document folder.
bonds
It's an
received?
interesting question, but it's kind of irrelevant because the projects aren't the same. As you
Right.
pointed out, Meredith, the one, we wanted a cache in case the comp storage area blew up or, just this, as you
Right.
said, it's,
You're
I
right.
don't, I think this is pretty unique and it should be a very minimum, if any.
Yeah, it's we went with 5,000.
So then let me weigh in now then. I propose 2,500 to 3,000.
I'm good with that.
All right. Well, we need one number. How about 2,500?
Okay.
That's good.
Okay.
There is going to be some significant planting. Oh, not significant, but there's a bunch of plantings. So, if they decide not to do those, we have the money to get the plantings done.
But wouldn't that
Okay.
fall under wouldn't that be the planning board? Since they're the one that,
Yeah, we have more, a little bit more teeth. Well, it's still in the floodplain. It's still in our jurisdiction, the landscaped islands, even though they kind of
Yeah.
oversee that.
Right.
2,500.
Any other
is fine.
conditions?
I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Any other conditions? Seeing none, entertain a motion.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the order of conditions.
So moved.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Jim,
Yep.
Tom,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate
Okay,
your
item
time.
Good luck, Henry. Good luck.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you very
Item
much for your
4,
time. I appreciate it.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4,
Meredith,
public
what-
meetings.
What kind of restaurant did we just approve?
We don't know.
An unnamed drive-through is what that's what it says everywhere. I don't know what the secret is, but apparently
Yeah.
it's a surprise.
All righty.
The secret recipe.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, 260 North Elm Street. In accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts general laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, public meeting will be held on October 26, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. A virtual meeting regarding a request for determination of applicability, I think. This is not a notice of intent.
You're right. That was a
Okay.
typo.
All right, so it's an RDA submitted by Mestec, installation of an underground electrical conduit and transformer in the 200-foot riverfront area to Powder Mill Brook. Again, this work is located within the parking lot with only temporary impacts to the stream. Meredith.
Yes, and I believe there's an applicant here to kind of explain the project. I can show you guys some pictures if you'd like, or do you want to hear their presentation first? Maybe, is their applicant still here?
Yes, I'm still on the Zoom call right now. So basically, my name's Chris Gaines. I'm with Mestec. I'm the Environmental Health and Safety Director for the company. We're looking to provide a new service, 480 electrical service into our building for some upgrading for our electrical service for some new equipment we have to bring in. We'd be looking to do about a 245-foot trench, about 2 feet wide, 3 feet deep, over the existing parking lot, which is our shipping area currently along the curb side of the brook. I actually have a drawing showing about how far away from the brook we will be. Let's see if I can share the screen here.
Yes.
So what we're looking at here, so the hatched area down the middle would be the trench that we're digging. It would be extending to the along the side of our building. And then to the left, the end of the trench, we'd be putting a transformer in to bring in the new service. We would be saw cutting along each side of the trench, removing the soil, putting it right to the side of the trench. We would have straw wattles against curbing that already exists along the side of the brook to the right of the curbing or the straw wattle. That's all vegetation right now. It's all native vegetation from an earlier restoration project that Tech had performed. We have a storm drain that would also be straw wattled and have filter fabric placed over it. Elm Electric would be doing the installation, and John Raymaker would be doing the excavation. And everything would be re-asphalted when completed.
All right, thank you. Meredith, you want to show the pictures? Okay.
Can't hear you, Meredith.
I think she's on mute.
Yep.
You're still,
Too many
there you
mute-
go.
All right, too many mute buttons. Okay. So this is the existing parking lot. Powder Mill Brook is where these trees are. You know, it's down an a small embankment, but there's a curb between the parking area, the work area, and the brook. Let's see, just another picture of, there's a catch basin in the parking lot. Oh, here's a better picture. So they'll be digging in the parking lot, and I wouldn't expect any soil to migrate into the river. And they're not doing anything with these trees or beyond the curbing. So yeah, I don't know why. I think that's all I had. This is the first one, just looking out towards North Elm. These dumpster, you guys permitted this pad where their dumpsters sit recently with an RDA, I think in the past few years. So they've been good about contacting us and getting permits when they do work there. So yeah, I think this is a temporary impact, and the sooner they get it in, the better, so they can get the asphalt, get things buttoned up before the asphalt plants close.
Right, any questions from the commission?
Hey, Chris, you're still there, yeah?
Yep.
How does drainage work when we get a bad rainstorm? It used to be awful at that intersection. The state did some work, and I guess it's much improved out in the road. How does it impact this particular area back where we're looking? And where does that drain go? Once you take the screen off of it, is it direct flow into the river?
Yeah, that is a direct flow that goes down into the river. It's part of our stormwater pollution prevention program, so it gets sampled 4 times a year. Honestly, since the road work has been done, the road probably floods more now than it used to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's pretty bad down there. Our building isn't too impacted. It's more impacted along Notre Dame Street. We haven't really had any issues with the actual Powder Mill Brook overflowing its embankment. It is down about 10 to 12 feet lower than the parking lot or the driveway.
Right. Okay, thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Other questions?
And my only question, and I should have thought of this before, was, is there anything we can do to improve the stormwater? I know it's not part of this project, but is there any treatment in that catch basin, Chris?
I do not have direct knowledge of that. I can find out and make that a future project if it comes down to that.
Yeah, just getting any kind of deep sump in there, or a catch basin that holds the sediment and the oil in would be good. But yeah, you don't have to do that now.
At this point, I'm not positive to give you a direct answer on that. I'm going to assume there's not much. We do have a company come in every year, JR Sweeping, that sucks out all the storm drains all along anything that goes towards the brook, and they are kept in good condition.
Okay, great, thanks. That's
Mhm.
all I have.
Other questions? All right. Seeing none, entertain a motion to close the public meeting.
So moved.
I'll take the second.
Okay. Point of order, I forgot, are there anyone listening in on the commission who'd like to make a comment about this particular project? Okay. So now we have a motion and a second. Do you have any further discussion? All right. Seeing none. All in favor? Alex?
Yes.
Okay. Bob?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
Tom?
I'm going to vote yes.
And Cliff?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Can we have a motion on the recommendation?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that we approve with a -2 determination with conditions.
Please read the conditions.
That the erosion controls will be installed prior to work. And the commission will be notified of the work start and the completion date. And soil stockpiling will be minimized and must be located within the erosion controls. And then catch basins must be protected during the construction.
All right.
I had just one question on that, whether we need to try to limit that to when there will not be any heavy rainfall. I don't know if that will impact this project at all.
I don't think it's needed, Carl, only because of the work that they're doing. They want it to be as dry as possible. And
And we will be installing electrical, so
yeah,
we will not be doing that in the pouring rain.
right. They're going to want dry weather. So.
Okay.
And we only anticipate the trench to be open for about 2 days between the excavation, laying the new electrical, and then putting the asphalt and dirt back into the hole.
Thank
All
you.
right.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like we
Any
don't need to put that in as a condition.
Okay, any further discussion?
I'm not sure we had a second. If that motion wasn't seconded, I'll second Jim's motion.
All right, thank you. Now, any further discussion? I just might say I am an alumnus of Mestec when it was Sterling Radiator. I worked there for a summer in college.
No kidding.
Way back in the 60s. Yeah, it was quite an interesting summer working in that place. So.
Not much has changed.
All in
probably.
favor? Yeah, I mean, that was an 18-year-old college kid, and they put me on one of these big 50-pound presses, 50-ton presses, banging out covers for their baseboard radiators. So that was quite interesting. I saw several men in there with missing parts of their fingers.
Oh my
because
God.
of because of that machinery. Yeah.
Well, a little safer now.
Thank you. Okay, I hope so.
Dave, that's before OSHA was existing, I think.
Yeah, this is
And
1965.
we're going back a
You
few
still
years.
have all yours, David?
Yeah.
David, you graduated.
I know I did. Well, it kept me in college anyway, so. Okay, all in favor? Alex,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes as well. All right, thank you, Chris. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, item 5, enforcement. 1223 East Mountain Road, an update. Meredith?
Yeah, property owner has been keeping in touch about the culvert. I guess it's been installed. They're about 90% done, and they're awaiting a few other, the concrete slab they have to put on top of the culvert. And I did get a summary email from their consultant who was with them when they were installing things, and they are following the plans and doing everything we asked. So that's been great. And, you know, we should probably take a look once things are done in the next couple of weeks here. And some other city folks might come with us. So just an update.
Thank you.
Keep you guys in the loop.
I would like to go, Meredith.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay, item 6, discussion on 191 Service Star Industrial Way, potential violation.
Yeah, so I did a site visit for another site and saw something going on this property. I sent a letter and they did respond. So I was hoping they agreed to a site visit, and I was hoping we could do one this week if people are available, either Thursday or Friday. We could talk offline but I could always go there by myself and let you guys know, but there seems to be some clearing and soil movement in a buffer and into a wetland over there. So near the power line, adjacent to the power lines.
Well, let us know what the best time is for you.
Okay.
Okay. Item B, 300 Union Street. Another potential violation.
Yeah, another potential violation. I sent a letter. I haven't heard back. We got a call that they were clearing. I did drive by, and it did seem to be like there was a violation of clearing in a buffer zone and potentially some wetland fill, but I couldn't get a great view from the road. So I don't know what you guys usually do. I mean, I could drive around the building. I don't know if I'm allowed to do that though. But hopefully, I just sent the letter out. I guess it was last week. People usually get back. I'll send another one if I don't hear anything.
Okay.
But
Do your letters that you send out, are these letters that need to be signed and acknowledged?
There are letters that say there's a potential violation. We'd like to do a site visit. Oh yeah, certified. You mean certified?
Yeah,
Right,
I sent
yes.
a certified, yes.
Yeah, sometimes we send a regular letter, a regular mail and a certified.
Which is what we did on this one. We sent regular and
Okay.
certified for this one, so.
Did we get back
We'll
our?
give them a few more days and then we'll
Okay.
decide what to do.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Item 7, we have a motion to approve the minutes of October 12th, 2021.
I have a addition, I think, to be added.
Not yet. We need
Okay,
the
I'm
motion
sorry.
first.
I'll make
Okay.
the motion.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, now additions or corrections.
I had brought up an issue under discussion last week on voting, and that's not addressed in here. That was at least brought forward. Remember, the issue I brought up was if a commissioner misses some of the hearings or the meetings on an issue, can they
Yeah.
then vote on that issue? I think that should be at least
Okay, so
listed.
you want me to note that in there?
Yeah, please.
Okay, all right. I will note that in there. I will put it after before the woody debris.
Okay, thank
Do you
you.
want me to add it and vote on this on the next meeting?
We can vote on it now and just add it.
Okay, all right, and I'll
okay-
send
I'm
it out
okay with
after
that.
I add it.
All right.
So Jim,
Any other-
Jim, basically you were asking that the city attorney be asked this question. Is that where you're
Right.
going with this?
Right, and
What's
also that as a member of the board who coincidentally had missed 3 meetings, was it even appropriate for me to have voted that night?
By appropriate, do you mean legal?
Yeah,
Legal
was
is
it
what-
legal for me to vote?
Yeah, in that case, I think we should refer it to the attorney. It's a good question.
It has been referred to, Meredith did get information back to me. And, but regarding the minutes though, I would just like it noted that I did bring it off and that our administrator was going to pursue it. Independent of that, Tom, when we talk tonight about about our discussion, I was going to ask that material and that information be shared with the balance of the commission.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other additions or corrections? All right, seeing none, approval of the minutes. Do we need to, okay, Alex,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Carl,
Yes.
Tom,
I'm going to abstain.
okay, Cliff,
Yes.
I'll vote yes as well. Thank you. Item 8, discussion, wetlands ordinance update. Meredith.
Yeah, so I did communicate with Shanna about the ordinance. She felt like the tree replacement thing should be a policy rather than in the ordinance. I'd never heard back why, and if we need to bring that to city council. I think her thinking was that other towns or other cities they only have policies and it's not in their actual bylaw or ordinance. So that's my thinking. So now she said she was good with the ordinance as long as we did the tree replacement policy and have that separate, I guess. And I think that's all. I think I need to write a letter and send it off to the mayor to get it to council.
Okay.
Unless anyone else has comments.
And the policy we agree on, we can then publish that on the website and post it so people can see that as well.
And
Yeah,
does
do you
that
guys?
that has then the force of law?
That's why she hasn't gotten back to me on that, and I have to talk to her. I asked if it has the same teeth as the ordinance, and I didn't get an answer back. I mean, it seems like all the other policies we did look at were policies, and sometimes they even said that their agent, the town's agent, could approve trees to be cut if they met the replacement policy, like without even filing a permit, which I thought was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Or, I mean,
Jim,
I don't know.
Jim, I think having it written as a policy is a step forward. I mean, right now we enforce our 50-foot protection zone, and it's not written anywhere
Right.
definitively now. So I think having the tree thing as a written policy is a step in the right direction.
Oh, I don't disagree with that. I was just curious,
Yeah.
does it have the same authority? And I'm okay with it as long as we can get it enforced as needed.
Maybe it gives us a little more flexibility with it.
Probably then it would, because it wouldn't have to go to council and mayor.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just kind of our policy, and see a few other towns are doing that, and
Yeah.
but I will circle back with her. I have to talk to her this week about some other issues. So
It gives us a foundation. From there, we got something at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and it'd be good. It's just on our website, and people can find that and review it prior to filing. And I guess it's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
And then we just get the ordinance off with the 50-foot no disturb written down. We protect isolated wetlands, and that'll be good.
Yeah.
But I will find out, Jim, and I'll send the voting email around.
Yeah, I guess that's, yeah, well, when you're done with the wetland ordinance stuff, I would like to talk about that briefly.
The policy or the
Well, what you sent me or what the attorney sent you, which you sent me.
Yeah, I can forward it and we can
Yeah.
have a discussion next time.
Yeah, and I think we all need some guidance on this. And the workaround that the law provides itself is not even a workaround, the way I see it.
Yeah, I thought there was sort of a rule that if you watch them, read the minutes, I thought that was always kind of the rule. If you didn't attend the meetings, but you read the minutes, or now you have the video, you watch a video and certified that you did do that, that you would be allowed to vote.
Well, how can you do that when you're in real time where you have to vote?
Oh, you would have to read it before, right? No, you
Yeah,
have to read it prior to the
it's
meeting.
just not practical. Either I'm missing something or the law's missing something, or we all, but either way, the board our commission needs to be aware of this issue.
Prior to. Yeah, because this just came up with council, right? And they passed something. They passed a rule, the Mullins rule. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mullins.
Meredith, if I can interject. or
Okay,
Mr.
sure.
Chair, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, Mr. Chair.
It's called the Mullen Rule, and you're allowed to miss only one meeting. You can't miss multiple meetings, and you have to be able to watch the video or a transcript. Now, the minutes are not a transcript. The transcript would be a, word for word written documentation, but we don't do that in Westfield. So it would be watching the video of the meeting and then signing a paper prior to the vote and submitting that, and that would be included as part of the minutes. So one meeting you could miss on a topic.
But no more. So if you miss 2 meetings, then you can't vote.
Yes.
And then
correct.
if you miss 1 meeting, but you read the transcripts or watch the video, then you can participate.
Yeah, but there are no transcripts. So it would be
right.
watching the video.
Okay, got it. Great. Thanks for clarifying. I will send out the email that Shanna sent me though, just so folks can read it on their own.
Thank you.
There it is.
Have you guys ever tried to watch the video of us? Boring.
Yes, I have many times. Yes.
Poor
Yes.
Every week Colleen gets to watch. And then I go out there and I see my face on their screen. I'm like, oh, you gotta just come on. Stop.
Hey, Meredith.
Yeah.
Meredith, on that last subject we were just discussing, and I'm just curious because I could see a potential problem somewhere down the line. So you know how some things they ask for postponement. They ask for postponement.
Oh, yeah.
Does that consider as discussion during a meeting? Because you know how things go. Sometimes something drags out a year.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying. And then you could have the mayor appoints new people. Let's just say he appoints 4 new people, right? Well, those 4 now you don't have a quorum because those people can't vote because they've missed 2 meetings on it. I'm just saying that
that's a little tricky.
You know what I mean? How things get dragged out. I'm just pointing it out because you don't want to be locked into a, especially if you notice the mayor just re-signed everybody's thing at the same time, which means whoever's mayor in 2 years, 4 years, whatever it is, could replace everybody. And then that just says anything that was on the docket is not good. It doesn't, you know what I mean? You got to think of those out of the box scenarios.
Yeah, we'd have to reopen all the hearings and start over.
But you couldn't because of the time frame. You have to make a decision, right? Within so many days.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So then you just automatically grant on everybody. I'm just throwing it out there because, I've seen things like that happen in other places.
Well, a similar thing is going on in Southwick right now. With either Agricultural Commission or the Conservation Commission, when the select board replaced or removed some commissioners.
So I guess we can't miss a meeting.
No, no.
No, you can miss one. You can miss one.
Oh, okay.
And you can't miss
Yeah,
any
just-
short meetings. Okay, anyways.
Yeah.
Did anyone have anything else? I will, do you want me to, I'll send the tree policy around one more time, and then if we have any comments for next time, we'll just refresh our memory, and then, yeah, and then site visits. That's it.
What about site visits?
And then I gotta get you guys to some of these site visits. I don't know. I never know.
Yeah, yeah, I want to get out in the golf course in particular there.
Okay.
Toccoa.
And you're usually mornings are better? After, I
Yeah,
can never.
mornings are, well, generally always better, but
Okay,
you never know. I'm
Okay.
here and there.
okay.
Did we just lose? Oh, no, he's back.
Oh, David, actually, I think he lost audio, but he's still there. He
I
can't
think
hear.
David went.
So Jim, can you close the meeting? Because
Wait,
David,
I have Carl and David, I need you guys to come down and sign something.
Right now?
yeah.
No, like this week sometime, yeah. Yeah, I want you all to drive to the middle of Southwick at 9 o'clock at night, in the dark, in the rain.
We should make sure we have all the permits before
Well,
they come.
Colleen, you're not asking for a lot then.
No, not a lot.
You're very easy, very accommodating.
She'll come to you guys if you don't watch out too, so.
Yeah, I've hunted a few of you down, so.
Just don't knock on my door at 9 o'clock at night, because you're not going to find me. I'm sleeping.
I am usually too, Bob, so. But I do need Carl and Dave's signature on something from our last meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So.
And we might need signatures for tonight. I can't remember how many signature pages I have left.
Yeah, we'll let you guys know on that, but I do need Carl and David to come down.
Yeah.
So, because that was
Alright.
something that Alex abstained on, so I need a new sheet, so. Okay, all right, now we can
All right.
close.
So
in trouble.
regarding number 9, can somebody make a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Do we
Second.
have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and Alex, please.
I'll third it. I finally got it figured out.
Oh, there he is.
Hey.
Mr. Chairman, would you care to vote on this?
Oh, yes, I'll vote yes.
David is yes. Carl,
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bob is floating around somewhere. I can't see
Yeah, I'm
him.
here. I'm
And
here.
I will vote yes. Oh, Tom, where are you? I can't see you.
Hey, hi, Jim. I'll vote yes also.
All right, I think we got everybody.